Welcome, everyone. You're listening to the ImPerfect Podcast. I'm Kathy.
And I'm Kennedy. Join us on this week's episode as we discuss intriguing topics and people of interest that will inspire us to explore all of the unique pieces of ourselves.
We are all imperfectly perfect.
We're glad you're here.
Hello, and welcome back to our next episode of the ImPerfect Podcast. Today, we will be interviewing a new local author, Paige Lepage. Paige grew up in and around the booming metropolis of River Glade, New Brunswick, and she jokingly states, "We had to come out to hunt. That's how far back in the woods we lived."
Growing up, Paige reports that she had no idea what she wanted to do in life, had no real ambitions, struggled in school, and disappointingly got turned down at university because of her grades.
Despite doing well in a post-secondary intensive French language program, she says she entered the workforce with no real direction and proceeded to work a variety of jobs. Over the past number of years, Paige has gotten married, has become a mom to 2 children, and has continued to work for the same company for the past 20 years.
However, a few years ago, Paige began toying with the idea of writing a book and started writing her ideas down. Next thing she knew, she had a book written. So, despite self doubt and many hurdles, Paige recently self published her book with Amazon.
Her Hero's Revenge was released in June of 2022 and is available online and locally at Canada's biggest bookstore chain. Now that Paige has gotten started with writing, she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon and is in the process of writing 5 other books. We're excited to hear more about her journey, so let's check in. Hi, Paige. How's it going?
Good, Kathy. How's it going with you?
Pretty good. We're really glad you could join us today and tell us a little bit about your story. So let's start there. We gave you the intro, but who is Paige and what are your interests?
Who am I? Who does real life anymore? I mean, that's why I write books. It's fiction. Fiction's more fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Way more fun to just have that imagination and take a mini vacation.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yes. Well, as the intro said, I'm happily married mom of 2. Very busy boys and a very busy husband, and you'll probably hear them playing around in the background with the dog that barks. I apologize. They do keep me busy. I was a little bit late today because I was packing for camp for the first time for my oldest.
Fun.
He's running away for a week.
Yeah. He's for you. Send them both at the same time.
That's next weekend. The other one goes for a sleepover camp overnight at the local art camp, which is fun.
Oh, fun.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, who am I? That's basically it in a nutshell. I've been working in telemarketing for 20 years and decided to use my imagination to write a book.
Yeah, really cool. And it's cool. I go to Angela's to get my hair done. So I've seen your book propped up there. That's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
was nice of her to support local and put it there in her shop. Yeah.
I think you wouldn't have to convince her too hard.
So what are your other interests, Paige, or does that pretty much take all of your time? You know, you're only a wife, a mom, work full time, and and write on the side. But do you have anything else that you like to do?
I mean, I love to create Halloween stuff for the kids.
Oh, cool.
Every year we have usually a new wooden thing that I create. Like you search through Pinterest and Google and YouTube and then you just kind of let your imagination go crazy. So, I mean, last year I created a scarecrow pumpkin that lights up, and it's all made out of like pallets, recycled stuff.
Really
Awesome.
The family's getting ready to go out for a bike ride.
That's okay.
We all live real lives. So.
Yes. So, I mean, aside from, creating and gardening and planting, I mean, we're busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Busy.
That's cool though that you
Yeah.
do gardening as well. I live in an apartment, so I'm anxiously awaiting the day that I can have my own land so I can do some gardening and things. So
For sure. It's fun learning a lot.
yeah. Yeah.
What
And
not to do.
yeah, it's cool too that you create things from things that you see on Pinterest and stuff. Mom and I have talked a number of times at least that, the amount of for us it's screenshots on our phone. Oh, that looks
Yeah.
fun. I should do that someday. And then
Yeah.
it disappears, never to be seen again or thought about.
Same here. I mean, it's like, oh, I go through my pictures on my phone. I'm like, oh, I gotta make that. Oh, I gotta make that. And
Yeah.
currently, I'm sketching out a Beetlejuice and a sandworm.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy.
I'm avoiding editing, which is what I should be doing when I'm not busy with life. It's
Yeah.
the final stage of book 2, right? The
Right.
paranormal romance, and I love the book, but I hate the editing. It's crazy.
So you like to write, but not so much the editing
Oh, I
process.
hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'm dyslexic, and we see things backwards,
Oh
or
yeah.
we can't think of the word for what we want to say. So we spend like 2 paragraphs saying she went for a walk in the woods when you can't think of went for a walk in the woods.
Right.
Right.
Why you've got an editor. In this case, I had 2 helping me out going, just right, she went for a walk in the woods.
Right. It
Crazy.
seems that easy, but sometimes it's not.
It's not. No, it's not. The struggle is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't like doing those things, but what makes you feel most inspired or like your best self? What do you like?
That's a tough one. I mean, making people smile and laugh. And I know in some of the questionnaires I put, losing weight is always the best thing to make you feel great.
I'm with you.
5 pounds.
Right.
Yes. So that is awesome, but, inspiring people to be helpful to people. That's usually the best way. Like, oh, look what I did. That was my good deed for the day. I helped that old lady reach that thing off the top shelf. Or,
Yeah,
you know,
it feels so good. It's
it,
funny you say
yeah.
that too. Just the other day, we had stopped at McDonald's just quickly to grab a burger on our way to the cottage, and I just get a kid's meal because for me that's plenty. It's enough for anybody. And so I said I don't need the toy, obviously. And I saw this little girl off to the side, and I said, actually, can I have my toy? And anyway, just made her day. But I brought it up to Mom and my boyfriend a couple times. I said, I think that did me more good than the little girl and the end of everything. So yeah, it's kind of you get the rub off of the positive when you give it out.
Oh, for sure, 100% always.
Mhm.
And teaching the kids that same thing to
Right.
watch them spontaneously help someone else without you saying, go do the right thing,
Right.
go help them out, right?
Mhm.
So, Kathy being the mom, it's nice to have that, oh, look what I taught my kid,
Yeah.
to be helpful.
Job well done, right? Because we're not going to be here forever, and behind
Right.
we leave our children, and it's our job to teach them and turn them into the humans that can survive without us. So,
That's right, paying it forward.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, big question. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I guess you all know the answer to that one. It took me what, 40 some odd years to figure out I want to write.
Was it
I want,
always like oh, I like to write and maybe someday, like from high school or anything like that? It just kind of came to be.
it just kind of came to be as an idea
Interesting.
one night. I went, oh, that would make a good story. So I had like 3 or 4 different scenes mapped out in my mind. And at night when you can't sleep, you lay awake thinking, oh my goodness, that would be awesome. Or first thing in the morning, and then it's a rush to write it down before you totally
Right.
forget.
Right.
And miss that feeling that you had when you were laying there going, this would be awesome.
Right.
Because sometimes it loses translation and dyslexia kicks in, you forget things, and that's hard. But as long as you can get it down, and that's what this one was.
Your second one or the first one?
The first one was just a series of thoughts.
Interesting. So tell us a bit about the book.
Well, it's about a writer. Not me.
Not a bio or anything.
No, it's not. She's totally different. But there are some similarities. Like when she went through university, she had no idea what she wanted to do. Long story short, she had a couple of rocky relationships, and the guy that she was left her with a pile of debt. And so she worked 2 jobs night and day, paid off the loans, the debt, the family. And when she was done, she had so much time at night, but didn't know what to do. So she started writing, kind of like me, and it sat there on her table when she had printed it, and her best friend Jenny found it. Jenny then, who was a publisher, see ya.
Have fun at camp.
Going for a bike ride.
Oh, a bike ride, yeah.
Whoops. So anyways, Jenny was a publicist. So she ended up publishing the book for her, and she became famous, bestsellers list. But she had to write a 3rd book and couldn't figure out what she wanted to do. Like she was writer's block. So she ended up going to house sit in Florida, in Indian Rocks Beach. And she actually met the guy that she wrote her books about. She thought he was fictional. He's not real. No one could be this awesome,
really
right?
Cool.
But on his side of the fence, the books ruined his life. Well, close to it. Like he was into advertising, marketing, etc. And every time the book came out, it seemed to be based exactly on his life. And the girl he happened to be dating. And it was all just fluke, coincidence. And he ended up hating romance writers. So it's about what happened after that, and then his personal assistant and how much trouble she caused between the two of them once they fell in love. And Rachel's struggle to say, okay, I'm a romance writer and I ruined your life.
That's like, really cool though.
Yeah, so it's more than that. Like there's so many twists and turns, and it's a romance with a good story. And a lot of spice.
Yeah.
Really neat. And when did the book was put out when again?
Last June. So it's just a little over a year.
Wow. Interesting. Remember before I went away this summer, Kennedy, you were telling me about something about a show that is on now. It's like a series of, and sort of like they're, I can't even remember how it went, but you were explaining that somebody was watching a show on TV, but it's not the same, but it kind of sounds neat. And that's amazing to me that these people would have been working on that at the same time you were working on this. And it's not the exact same idea, but it is a little twisty like that. Like how
the way it worked is that she went home at the end of her day and went to look on TV for something to watch, and it said the life of whoever, and it was her life. And so the first episode was her whole day in replay. So yeah, I couldn't think of what that was either. I was like, there was something anyway, but yeah.
But it's neat to think that they were probably working on that at the same time Paige was probably working on this.
Yeah.
And like, how do similar ideas come to people like worlds?
How do they come to fruition? That's
yeah. And not to be the same as others. Like there's so many books out there and so many stories. How do you come up with something new? Like,
oh yeah. I don't know how you do
it. It came to me. So it's someone reached out and said, hey, here's something, try it.
Yeah.
And away you run, right?
It's imaginations are great, but when they're like blocked, like for you it would be writer's block, or I just think whenever I would draw something when I was younger, I'd always need a reference.
Yeah,
I couldn't just pull that out of my own head. It's hard sometimes to get it from here to there. Yeah,
I feel your pain. I can't just create, I can't just draw, because everything I do is hand painted, so I have to have a reference like you. But with the books, it's kind of different. You get to decide which way they go, or
really true.
how bad that main character is.
Right.
When I squirmed to some of the things like that personal assistant did to break them up, I was like, that is so wrong. And I'm like, that is so good.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Who
So
would do that?
Right.
I have to ask you, Paige, for myself, there's like Kennedy and I are both idea people, just like all the time, so fast that you can barely write it down. So for me, I have certain circumstances when ideas come to me more than others. Is there the same for you? Like, is it while you're washing the dishes? Is it, or do they just come like in the middle of the night or what?
It's more like when I'm just starting to fall asleep, kind of like those the yoga for the mind. Well, that's my yoga for the mind. What would happen if this person did this? And
Yeah.
what would happen here if the person did that? And then first thing in the morning, right before I'm ready to start my day, like before the running happens, the chaos, like,
Right.
oh, this would be a cool idea. I'm like, you gotta remember. Find
Where's
a
the piece of paper? Yeah.
Exactly. Write it down quick.
On the back
Yeah.
of the grocery list that your husband inevitably throws out, and you're like,
Right.
Exactly. I mean, I have an email to myself at work because obviously it's just been a year the book's been out. But I
Right.
keep ideas in like in between calls at work because I am a telemarketer and I'm like jotting down ideas and people walk by. What are you doing? Writing a book? Yeah.
sort of.
Someday, yeah, it's gonna be all compiled.
Yep, exactly. So it's more first thing in the morning and first thing at night.
Mm,
Probably because things are quiet. Like no
Right.
one's bugging me. I don't have to do things. I don't have to go to Costco.
right.
Right.
You can think.
Yeah.
So you have a lot on the go. What is it that keeps you going?
The fear of if I stop, I will stop.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? A
Yep.
rolling stone gathers no moss, right?
Right. Yeah.
You keep going, right? No matter what life throws at you, you don't stop. You keep going. You keep
Yeah.
pushing through because, yeah, who knows what will happen. And
there's a
it's
lot of time. What's that? Sorry.
the same as you get older, right? You
Mm,
find that, the worst case scenario is dying, right? But
mm,
if you keep moving, it's like you can outrun death.
yeah.
A little while.
It's the same in life, right?
Yeah.
You keep going and you'll finally make it there. Not death, but
Yeah. Well, it's funny too that like oftentimes we're a lot stronger than we realize too. I find at the beginning of a week, I find it's quite daunting for me a lot of the time. And I'll be like, how am I going to get from here to way over there? And somehow we always do it.
yeah.
There's a few things that maybe fall off the side of the ledge or whatever as you're like making your way to the end of the week, but you manage to get the majority of it done. And I don't know, I surprise myself sometimes. So maybe that's a lot of what it
Exactly.
is too.
Yeah, it is. And then you find that spot to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Crazy schedule. Where's fitness?
Right. Exactly. You have to
Yeah.
fit stuff in everywhere. And oh, I have an extra 10 minutes here. What am I going to do with it?
Let's go walk around.
Yeah. So, what's the most important thing that you've learned in life?
Oh my God, is to keep my mouth shut. Quite honestly, impulse control. The first thing is someone says something, you're like, that's stupid. Like, no, that's their opinion. It's not stupid. You may not agree with it, but it's not stupid. It
Yeah.
was a hard lesson that I had to learn. And I lost the respect to someone. And it took them 6 months to talk to me because I called their opinion stupid. It was
Mm,
the foot and mouth situation. Should never have happened. Think before you speak. Think about other people's feelings.
Right.
If we're back to the whole pay it forward, right?
yeah.
Stop and think, right? What's normal for me is not normal for you guys, right?
Right.
And that was a hard lesson. Like, think people are different.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's true.
Yeah. It,
A lot. What's that,
What?
Mom?
I was just going to say, I noticed on some of our show notes that you mentioned about when you had the book written and your hesitation in doing something with it, like letting it sit there. At what point, like, Was there a particular incident that made you like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna hold my
I could
breath.
close my eyes and
Like, was what got you to that point?
A lot of no's for wrong reasons. Like,
But
'cause
even before that, like what let you start the journey of, okay, I'm gonna just ask this person.
yeah, that was it. Looking for validation because I knew I wrote this. I battled with self-doubt my whole life. And so when you create something, you're like, is it really good?
Right.
Is it good enough? So I needed the validation from a few people before I went, okay, I'm going to put my little toe in the water. And if it's not too cold, I'm going to keep going. And
yeah.
so as I got this is really good. No, you got to do something with it. So I submitted it and I sat there and I said, okay, you're going to get no's. Most of them are going to say no. And don't take that to heart. Like boistering my self-confidence up there to say, it's good. It's not going to be everybody's fit, right?
Right.
And then to hear the weird reasons for the no's and it doesn't fit, it's their person. But they're not saying anything that the book is bad.
Right.
And it was in that I kept going. They're not saying your book sucks. They're not saying you have to change anything. They're saying you don't fit us, this company, what we publish. Okay, let's move along and find someone who it does fit.
Yeah.
And in the end, it was, I'm tired of trying to find my fit. Let's go to Amazon and see. And from there, the rest is history, right?
It's kind of empowering too, though, that you're a self-published author. Like that's big. To me, that's almost more commendable. When I hear someone self-published, it has this added element to it of they had to push harder than most to get there.
Yes.
And
no.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can write a book and then go to these vanity places and publish it. They might sell one copy. And it, good or bad, good for them. They did it, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you're still looking for that validation. I am still today. Is it that good? When you talk to the wrong person, the person that doesn't like steamy romances, they're like, that book sucks. Well that's right. Right?
That's why there's so many different genres and so many different interests and whatever. Not everyone's going to love whatever, but you love it. And obviously other people do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They do, thankfully. But still that little devil over there going,
right.
You're not good enough.
Even now, And so how much guts did it take to take the physical copy, walk to the bookstore and say, here I am, please?
It was hard. It was hard. I had 2 or 3 other romance writers come to me who had purchased the book and said it's a good book, local romance authors.
Wow.
And say, you should go to the bookstore and see. So the first thing I did was the easiest, pick up the phone and call. You were not face to face.
Right.
The phone.
Can I text them?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. But on a phone, I'm in my wheelhouse. I'm a telemarketer, right? You can
Right.
sell anything.
Right.
So pick up the phone. Hey, I just wrote a book. It's published. I'd like you to see it. See if it fits your store. And they're like, okay, bring in a copy and we'll go from there. And I brought in the copy and they're like, oh, this is what we like to see here. Your name, you can clearly see it. It's a nice, clear title. And, the pages, they're big lettering. Like we can, it's a good book. The paper's right. The quality's right. And then they read it. And it was like, yeah, we want your book.
Wow.
Bring us 10 copies. I'm like, okay.
Wow. And to think of all the other times that like publishers and things like that were saying, well, it's in third person or it's whatever, all these little nitpicky things just because it didn't fit them right. And to have the reassurance of things that I wouldn't think about with writing a book, like having your name on the side of the book and all of these things that they appreciated.
Well, and it was just luck, just chance that I was like, okay, that's clear. I can see it. People will see my name. If it's sitting on a shelf like this, they'll be like, okay,
right.
You can see it. It's visible. So it was just luck. It wasn't any planning.
Right.
Well, it was also guidance from Amazon, right? Because they help create the cover and format it and such. And so having help is good.
That's good
If you
though.
don't know what you're doing. And
Yeah.
it worked. It did. And
So is there, I don't know how it works or how the system works, but with the books that you have lined up for yourself coming up that you're trying to create, do you suppose that it'll be, hey, here's my second book and they'll take you, or how does that process go?
I'm hoping they'll take it.
Yeah.
It's a different manager now, and she's been very supportive with this one. Anytime I'm like, okay, I think I can do another book signing, she'll say, yep, here's your dates. This is what you need. They're very supportive that way. So I'm hoping, because the second one is different. It's not a steamy romance. I call it a paranormal thriller.
You're diverse though. You're a diverse author then.
Scene in there, but yeah, none of my books, they all have the same characters in them. Like some of them follow from book to book, but they're separate standalone books. They're not a series. At least I hope.
I hope she says. Who knows
sure where this is going, but
right.
You never know until you finish it and send it off to be printed. Like, oh,
right.
dang. I have a sneaking suspicion that book 2, there will be a second book to it. But yeah, and that
to be
called,
continued.
to
Yeah.
be continued, yes. And that one's called Is It in the Card? So it's about a psychic who gets into trouble.
So any idea on how long or when you're hoping it'll be out, or?
If I can stop avoiding editing. I'm hoping October.
Oh, wow. So very soon.
In time for Halloween, because it is, like I said, paranormal. To me, it seemed like a perfect time. I've got several people yelling at me, release the book. We want to read it. Because, yeah.
Really cool.
Well, they like the first one. And they like the story and the twists, the plots, and the turns. And so it's fun to create something like that, totally different. Like the first book is romance, the second book is story, like with some romance in it, of course.
Yeah.
And now that you've gotten past the like, how do I even approach how to do this and what are the steps, and I can totally relate to that in my own journey of like, I've never done this before and I don't really have a lot of guidance. So like, is it here, am I supposed to do this first, or oh, I wish I would have known, if I would have done it this way, it would have turned out differently than if I, and so now that you've got all that out of the way, that maybe you can start to just focus more on the writing instead of the whole process, right?
But who's going to be the cheerleader? Who's going to market it? And that's the difference between an indie author or a self-published, they call them indie authors now, and someone who's traditionally published. The traditionally published, they've got the team in the background getting it out to the different stores, being your cheerleader.
Right.
So even though you publish it, you still got to push it.
Right.
You still got to sell it. You still got to let people know. And that's the stage that I'm at with Her Hero's Revenges. Trying to market it, trying to figure out how to market it.
Right.
When I'm not computer savvy, like I have to go and Google all this stuff and then sit there and try to figure it out. Like, because you can run ads through Amazon.
Right.
But they don't make things easy.
No, there's a lot of, I would agree. You have to kind of search on the sidelines before you figure out how to approach it from internally. Like,
yeah. And it's the same with social media. You can't just pop up and then you're a hit.
Right.
Like you've got to gather those followers, and there's no map, there's no blueprint to tell you how to do this stuff.
And marketing is a science in itself, and there's no like straightforward anything but trial and error, I guess. But hopefully with the episode coming out, you get a couple outreaches and things like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Like I said, I take anything, good or bad criticism. Like I've sold almost 200 copies of the book. which
Wow.
Good for you.
it's not a ton, but
Oh
it's
gosh, yes.
it's to get those people to come in and leave reviews for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Good or bad. Put something up there. That way someone walking in will know this is how I found it. You know, I found too many editing mistakes, or the plot sucked,
Right.
whatever. Something to let people know. I mean, so far I'm just getting good reviews, which I like. I just need more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the good thing is I mean, I have a friend that is just absolutely crazy into books, and it seems that environment of, they call it bookish. Some of them call themselves bookish people, and they're so gung-ho about, I read this book and I'm going to tell all of my other friends about it. So the good thing is you've got a good community of people who love to read. People who love to read are hard into reading. So
They are. And I've got, those are the couple that I have editing my book right now. So if they like it, then especially my second editor, she's big into mysteries and thrillers, and she's got a library like no one could believe. So I'm wading into her edits now. So it's the hard part.
yeah. But yeah, and you never know what's going to catch either. So yeah, but to me, that's huge. Self-published author in your first book and 200 copies so far, and you're already like anticipating around October, or hoping to, with your second book. Like, to me, that's huge.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot, because to me, it's like anybody can be an author, but you have to be good enough that people want to read it. And you have to be having the willpower enough, like Mom said, all of these hurdles and things, like, what is step one? I've written it down, so now what?
Yeah.
And okay, now I have the book out on Amazon, or I don't know how to do that, or I don't know how to, do I just walk into the bookstore and offer them a copy? Like, all of these steps, but
it's tough to be your own cheerleader.
Yeah.
Is hard. And you do need support around you. Like, you do. Someone to say, oh, hey, this is my daughter. She just wrote a book. Or this is my sister. She's, someone to, if you are feeling down and like, I just can't do it, someone's there to help pick you up and push it. Right? It's good to have support.
It's hard to be your own cheerleader in life as is, let alone when you're trying to go into something that seems scary. So support is huge.
Yes.
One more question for you.
Sure.
What makes you imperfect?
I wake up and start my day, and there it is. That's what makes nobody is perfect, right?
No.
And it's the series of mistakes that make up our lives. That's what teaches us, right? Again, I learn to shut this when I'm even though I think it's silly, I do have to take that step back and think, okay, what's their life? What's going on, right? When that person cuts you off in traffic and you want to flip the bird and beep the horn.
Yep.
Maybe they're in a rush to get to the hospital to visit a long lost one, not doing too good, right?
Right.
You just got to step back. Yes, I was in their blind spot. Try to make people's day better through your own faults.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm dyslexic. I'm going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. But we slow down, reread, triple read, edit, re-edit. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
just
try to teach the kids that, they're imperfect, just like me. But they learn from it. Pick up, move on, keep going. Don't give up.
That's big too. Yeah.
Sure. So, Paige, do you want to let our viewers know if they're interested in getting a copy of your book, where they might do so, or how they'd connect with you online?
Yeah. The book is available through Amazon, Kindle, Kobo, and Chapters Moncton. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's in Chapters Moncton.
Yeah.
And they can just reach out to me on through my Facebook. They just have to search me out. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and of course Facebook Reels. send me a message. If they're local in the area, I don't mind delivering a book to them, signing it for them. Word of
That's
mouth
really
is
cool. Yeah, and
really
I'll link
good.
all of this too in the show notes too, so people can easily do a click and find you no problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, and soon to be second book, maybe in October or so. So that's exciting.
I'm kind of more pumped for the second one because it was more fun to write.
Okay.
Like in this book, Her Hero's Revenge, I did take a little bit out of my life because
Hmm.
with CrossFit, it kind of touched on in there. And the second book has a little bit of kickboxing in it. So it
Okay.
was fun to go down that memory lane. I mean, I'm too busy now, but
Right.
to know, like, back in the day, this is how it felt, and
Yeah.
to expand on it, and base things lightly off real life, very lightly, by the way. No stalkers. This is all light fiction. But it's fun to, in the first book, I do mention my parents' name, and they got a little giggle out of it.
Aw.
So
So that's what makes it yours, right?
exactly. And for people that know me, when they read it, they can go back and say, "Oh, I get it now, what she was talking about."
Right.
Right? Or,
Right.
"Hey, I did that with her."
Yeah.
One of my aunt's neighbors was someone I used to do kickboxing with. And when I mentioned that to her, she's like, "You got to tell me when it comes out because I want it." Like, okay.
Really cool.
That's
Well,
fun.
thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. This was
Yes.
fun, and we will be talking, I'm sure. We'll be in touch shortly.
Wonderful. Well, I loved it. This was fun. My first podcast.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, we'll be in
Bye.
touch.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
thanks, Paige.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Bye.
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 If you or someone you know has a unique story to tell, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at theimperfectpodcast@outlook.com.
For more information and how to connect with us on social media, you can visit us at our website, theimperfectpodcast.ca.
And from whichever platform you are listening to this episode, be sure to like, share, and leave us a review. We would really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode.
We look forward to hearing your feedback and seeing you all find that extra joy and embrace your own imperfect.
See you next week.